Hi guys! So I wanted to talk today about healing and the healing process and how much that can suck. Because we all have this picture in our head that once we start healing, everything's going to be perfect and wonderful and everything. And it's going to be, but the healing process itself can be very demotivating and can be very tedious and long and um, yeah, and I always like it to describe it as we would heal actual wounds, because the healing process is the same. The only thing is that if we have an actual wound, like a cut on our arm or leg or whatever, um, we trust our bodies to do most work, and we trust that if you have a cut, that it will grow a scab, and that underneath the scab things will mend and heal again, and then the scab will fall off, and then you have this perfectly new pink skin or whatever color. And we trust that that will happen, that our body will do that, and we trust the natural healing process of our body. But if we're going to talk about mental healing, about spiritual, emotional, mental healing, it goes the same way. We clean the wound, we put a band-aid on it, and then we wait. But how deeper the cut, the longer it takes to heal. We know this, right? But when it comes to mental wounds, when it comes to emotional wounds, we don't give ourselves the time to heal. And we kind of think like, well, I've done the healing, so now I'm done. And no, the only thing you actually did was clean out the wound so it can heal properly. And that's the moment of realization. That's the moment that you have that breakthrough, that you know, well, this is my tipping point. Now I finally know what's wrong and I can fix it. And you are doing that at that moment. But what you're doing, you're taking a wound that you probably had for a long, long time, and you now rinsed it with water and cleaned it up. All the old dirt and things that are in there, they came out. And now it's an open wound, and now it still needs closing. And that takes time. That takes time. And it can be really demotivating. And I know this because I'm in it right now, and I'm frustrated by a lot of things. And what it can do, one of the things what happens with a healing wound is it starts itching. And I actually came to this topic because I have a cut that is healing and it's itching like crazy. And I'm one of those people that picks and picks and picks and picks. So I picked the scab off and everything. And we do that with our mental wounds as well. The moment we feel that itch, and that can be an old thought coming back, recurring, that we haven't thought in a while, ever since our breakthrough, we haven't thought that thought, and now it comes back. And there's two things you can do. You can pick at it, you can scratch and scratch and pick and pick and pick. And that's going along with that thought and thinking about it and making it worse and worse and worse and falling back into your old way of thinking, like opening that wound again, or you don't. Basically, you don't. You don't pick at it, you just watch it and you're like, yeah, it itches. Maybe put some cream on it, maybe, I don't know, do something, put your mind on other thoughts and ignore it, and it no longer itches. Or maybe it does a little bit here and a little bit there. But with mental wounds, we can do exactly the same thing. Instead of picking at it, we can think, okay, this is just the wound itching, and I have two options. Either I go with it and open that wound again, or I can realize that it's just a healing itch, and I can put some cream on it, like doing some self-care routines, or basically self-care routines. Do something that will make you happy and it will take your mind off it. And if you do that and you're just watching the thought go by as a passing cloud, you can actually prevent it from opening the wound again. Because it's us, we're doing that. We're opening the wound again and again and again. No one else can do that. We always think we give other people so much power, and we keep saying that, oh, they did this, they did that, and they don't. We do that. We give them permission to say something that affects us. It affects us because we let it affect us. So no one else can open your wound again. It's you. It's just you. You're picking at that wound. You're picking at that scab and you're picking it off and you're opening the wound again. And of course it's healing little and little and little and little again, but it takes longer if you keep picking at it and maybe even leaves a scar. While if you don't do that, the chances you having a scar is less. So, itching wounds. And it's itching, my wound is itching right now. And not only my physical wound, but also my mental wound. Because I did a video on when you're in a funk. It's on my Instagram, on my IGTV. So look it up at the Dutch Healing on Instagram, the Dutch Healing Academy. Sorry. And yeah, I was kind of in a funk and kind of in a bad mood and didn't really know why, but it was just basically my wound itching and I was picking at it because there are all kinds of things happening around me with entrepreneurs, colleagues and things who are doing fantastically, absolutely fantastically. And I was just getting frustrated that it didn't happen for me. Why are they getting all those chances? Picking. Why don't other people have this heartache, and why is it so easy for them and so hard for me? And I was just like picking. And today, my actual physical wound was itching, and I was like, wait, I get it. My body is actually physically telling me, you're picking at your wound. It's just itching. Stop picking at it. So, yeah, I'm doing that. I'm trying not to pick at the itch, which is hard. It's hard. You're so compelled to scratch and to pick and to dissect and to constantly think about it, and it's so easy to go back into that mindset that was actually just an open wound that was really toxic, that was making you sick. And it's really easy to go back into that mindset, back into those habits. And we have to break those habits. And it takes 3 weeks to break a habit and 90 days. So basically it's 3. A lot of people say, what is it? 12, 21? I don't know. They do it in weeks, I guess. But 3 weeks to break a habit and 3 months to make it a permanent lifestyle. So yeah, it's really hard. You have to go through that process, and that process is there for a reason. And the process is hard. That process isn't fun. It's not fun at all. And it's not done quickly. It takes those 9 months. 9 months, that's just as long as time you need to make a baby. I've done it 3 times. I know, it's very long. So in order to keep yourself sane, it's really good to keep going with those self-care routines. And self-care routines are so important because they lead to self-love. And I always say the 3 pillars of self-love is gratitude. Be grateful for what you have, even if it's shit. Be grateful you have shit, because some people don't even have that. Be grateful for having shit, because that shit is teaching you so much. I've had so many bad things happen in my life, and a question I see a lot of times is, if you could go back into your past, what would you change? Well, seriously, my answer is nothing. Yes, I had so much shit in my childhood, in my adolescence, my teenage, my puberty, everything. I had so much shit, and I wouldn't change a thing, because it made me who I am today. And all those lessons I learned from all that shit I had, I'm so grateful I learned them. And that gratitude is going to give you happiness. The second thing, because 3 things, gratitude. The second thing is forgiveness. And forgiveness, I think, is very important, because forgiveness is actually cleaning the wound and making sure it can heal. Because forgiveness is never about the other person. Never. It's always about yourself. And even people who want forgiveness from someone else, those people don't need that forgiveness from someone else. It's just for them a approval they need to start forgiving themselves. But basically, you always have to forgive yourself. And forgiving yourself can be harder than forgiving other people, because you're your own worst critic. But you have to do it. Forgive yourself. And if you find it really hard, start forgiving yourself for little things. And if you're thinking right now, I don't have anything to forgive myself for, yes, you do. You always have to. You always have something to forgive yourself. And it doesn't have to be loads and loads of big things. It's not like, oh God, I'm asking forgiveness because I bullied someone. No, it doesn't have to be that kind of thing. You can forgive yourself for not knowing better. You can forgive yourself that you acted in that way that moment. You can forgive yourself for saying yes to something you wish you said no to. All those little things will make sure that you can start healing more and more and more. So start with the gratitude, open and clean the wound. Forgiveness, making sure that wound can actually heal itself. And the last thing is self-care. So those are the 3 pillars of self-love: gratitude, forgiveness, and self-care. And self-care routines are really, really important, because you are allowed to put yourself first. You are the most important person in your life. Without you, you have no life. And people always say, no, my kids are the most important, my husband or my wife or my whatever. Those are the most important people in my life. Well, they're not. Because if you weren't there, you couldn't take care of your children, spouse, parents, friends, whatever. So if you're not there, you can't take care of them. So you have to take care of you first. And that's not being selfish. It has nothing to do with selfishness. But you are actually taking care of other people by taking care of yourself. Because if you are well rested, well fed, well hydrated, and those are just basic things you need. But if you're also happy and content and all those things, you can take care of other people so much better. So much better. I always say this, one of the things, I'm into natural parenting, if you want to give it a term. And what I see a lot in those, I'm in a couple of Facebook groups about natural parenting. And what you see a lot in those groups is that the mom has to stay home to take care of the children. And it's not only in natural parenting, that's in parenting in general. Mom has to stay home to take care of the kids. And I'm a stay-at-home mom, besides doing all this. And actually, you know what? I'm a much better mom if I just have those nights and those days off. And to either work or do a hobby or just sleep all day. I'm so much better a mom if I do those things, if I get the chance to do those things, because if I don't, I get really cranky and frustrated and angry. And I'm not a fun mom if I'm like that. So taking care of myself makes sure I'm a better mom. So self-care routines is basically giving yourself something that you need. It's looking at yourself and looking at yourself like you are a loved one, like you are your spouse or your children or your parents or whoever you want to take care of, and look at yourself and say, you know what, you really need a bath. Or say, you haven't ate well, you only ate junk food this entire week, so we're going to eat a salad, whether you like it or not. Or you are going to the gym right now and exercise because you need it. Or you are going to quit your job. Or you are going to do this, you are going to do that. Because self-care isn't always about doing the happy, joy things like taking a bath and a mask and going to the spa. And yeah, that's self-care too. But self-care is also doing the hard things and making sure you are doing the hard things, like it would be if you are taking care of your spouse or your children. You're making your children eat vegetables, right? You're feeding them vegetables even though they don't want to eat vegetables. And you're doing that because it's good for them. So self-care is the same thing, but then for you, do something you know is good for you, even though if you don't want it to do it. So if you don't do those 3 things, you can go all the way through your healing process, because that's what we're talking about, itching in healing process. Once you start feeling an itch and you recognize it as an itch, go through those 3 pillars. Gratitude that you have an itch, that you are feeling the healing process continuing, because that's it. It's itching because it's healing. Be grateful. Then forgive yourself for thinking this thought again, and that you are, I don't know, getting in that negative spiral if you're doing it, because I've been in that negative spiral for a couple of days and now I recognized it and I stop it and I forgive myself for doing it, and then I take care of myself in the self-care routines. So those 3 pillars are really, really important if you want to go through that healing process. So if you're in a healing process right now and you're feeling the itch, you're not alone, everyone has them, and just think about it. Itching means it's healing. You're doing it right. Just don't pick at it. So that was my tip for today. I hope you loved my video. If you did, please like and subscribe so you don't miss another video. If you have any questions or anything, comments, put them down below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So for now, bye bye. Lots of love.